Can you imagine you still need to get into a website to copy the rate that for the month-end closing? You don't need to do that anymore because today we're going to introduce a new method using Power Query to get information, automatically refresh it based on any date you pick. For example, in this demo, we can pick any date and right-click refresh to get the exact rate from this website in the Power Query. So let's get started. So first, let's open a new blank canvas, which is an Excel blank page, and we need to set up some framework. For example, we need the date to check, and also we need the currency to check. And then we need to know our web page. So date to check, let's just default that to 29 February and 2024. Currency to check, we just need AUD. Web page, I already have that open over here. So we're definitely not going to use this web page because we need to find a table-like structured information on this website. So we go into the tools and there's a historical currency rate. We hit on that. And then we choose AUD and we pick the last day of Feb. We hit confirm. There's a lot of information on this web page, but there's only one thing that I'm interested in, which is the bottom table part. You can see there's a lot of rows over this page, but only this part is what we're going to focus on. So I'm going to copy this part. Going back to the Excel, I'm just going to paste that. Once you paste in that, it will have a hyperlink. But I won't remove that because hyperlink will create two phases of this one cell. One is the actual website you're going to. Second is how it's been displayed on this Excel. So I want to remove that confusion. So remove hyperlink. In that way, I know exactly what I'm doing. Now we're going to think about how to make the link more dynamic. We can swap the AUD part and also the date part. So let's do that. We know that we need to surround this kind of thing like a text, so we have double quote, so this will be no change, but this gives me a chance to swap the information, right? So everything from the front, if I double click over here, we can add it here. So we need to strip the AUD part, and let's just wrap it up with the ampersand and AUD, and then the quotation again, and then we need another ampersand quotation to the date before, after the equal sign. We need another quotation, an ampersand, quotation, ampersand, and quotation. The end. We hit OK. Sometimes when you swap those information, you may confuse yourself. So it's better to test it out. So I just copy everything, go into the website, open a new tab, see if I can get the same information. Two key elements. One is the currency, the other one is the date. So exactly the same as previous one. So which means my swapping is correct. Now I'm just need to focus on the AUD part, right? AUD part I can swap with this. But before do that, I like to rename this C2 as a different name range. For example, this is going to be a date to check. For the currency to check, same thing. I'm going to rename it as currency to check. Hit OK. Now I have two variables over here. I can swap that easily by just typing the name. I know there's a date to check. You can see that. I tap. For this part, I'm going to swap that with another name, which is currency to check. Then I hit OK. In case I got something wrong again, I'm going to copy this whole thing, going back to our website, open a new tab, paste, and check if it's working. It doesn't work. You got a 404 error. But if we quickly see that, you can see the front clause and the date sort of swapped. And also there's a, this part is kind of missing. So we go back to check what is going on. So it looks like we get it the other way around. So this is the date to check. This is the currency to check. So for this part, this will be the currency. And this will be the date to check. Date is not correct. That's because in Excel, the date and also the number are the same brother and sisters. So we need to kind of format that into the iOS format. So how should we do that? We can just cut this part. We use a function called text In that way, I can paste that into the first argument. Second argument, I'm going to use double quotation, and surrounded by the double quotation, I'm going to use 4 letters for year, 2 for month, 2 for days. And I'm going to close that bracket and hit enter. Again, try again, always testing. Okay, seems like it's okay. And for this part, I'm going to just recheck that again. Everything's working, AUD, correct the date. Okay. Now we have done the hard work. And next step is think about how to ingest those things in the Power Query. So first, we just need this web page as a variable. So we're going to web page, rename that as well. Now we're going to the data, get data, which is here. We can from range. Now you can see it's create 2 additional steps that I don't need. The first one is the problem head. I need the information, so I don't need that. So we delete the steps in a reverse order. Now we get into this information. We right click and drill down. In that way, I can get ABC is a text data type. Once you have this information, we can go into think about how we get information from this website, right? So I'm going to copy this hyperlink. Going back to this, let's just pretend we're going to get the information from this website. We can go into the Home tab and New Source and Web. In the web page, you just paste the URL over here. We hit OK. Once OK, you can see it's reading the structure of that. We can check each one of them. The top 3 are not necessarily what I need. Only the bottom one I'm interested in because it's giving a full list of the currency and also the rate compare against with AUD. I hit OK. Now this table has been ingested. There's just one problem. We have designed a sort of dynamic query, which is this web page. And this one is actually using a that link, right? So every time if I want to get information from this table, I need to swap that. So that's what we want. That's why we have this first query over the top. So let's just see if we can just simply swap that. We can see web page. You can see it's coming up as a variable and we hit done. Now we come to a firewall warning. That's because if we're going to check query dependency in the Power Query, you can't mix the, like say, different partitions of your request. For example, our web page is actually using some dynamic information from this worksheet, while the table 0 is actually getting information from outside this worksheet. So you can't mix these two. So how do we copy that? We're going to introduce the web page as an internal script as the table 0. We can go into the web page, go into the View, Advanced Editors. We need to sort of copy this and paste in the few steps into the table 0. But before I do that, I need to swap some information because this source step is everywhere in every query that you ever created. So we're going to create this as a X and X again. I'm going to change this to 1X. This will be 1X again. And then we hit done. So there's no impact for this web page query. We just need to go into the table. We need to copy the steps, just Advanced Editors. We copy these 2 steps, go into the table 0, Advanced Editor, we leave 3 lines. So I pasted that. Remember to include a comma in the end. And then you can see there's no syntax error, but we need to swap something because this is using the web page, which is causing the firewall errors. We need to use the column 1X, right? Column. You can see it's coming up. We hit that. So let's read this properly. So first we get information from name range called web page from our Excel spreadsheet. And once I get into that link, I'm going to read the 0 position of that information, which is convert that into text, which is ABC web page, and then read content from that variable. And then we're going through some steps to read the whole thing. And now we formulate that into a table. We hit done. Now you can see the only error message we got is this privacy data issue. We hit continue. For the levels, we can just ignore that and hit save. Now this table has been properly ingested. We just need to load this back to our main sheet. We just need to close and load to. This time we're not going to create a connection because we want to actually load the data into this sheet 1. So we just hit table. It's going to create a new sheet. We can do that and we hit OK. With this loaded, you can just Control A, make sure you have the title copied, and Control X. For this part, I'm going to just paste over here. So now we have this rate as of this date. Let's check that. So go into the website. So for the last day of Feb in 2024, we got this 6502. And if we change another date, for example, the 31st of Jan, hit OK. We're going to right click, refresh. The rate we got is 0.6599. Going back to here, we change that to January last day, confirm. Yes, 6599. So we have this main structure ready. There's a few things that we need to make a better user experience, I would say. So first thing I noticed that whenever I change this day to another day, when I refresh that, for example, if I have this, make this very narrow and refresh, it kind of like say auto adjust the width of this column. So that's because you go into table design, property, you have this ticked. So if we uncheck that, hit OK. If I just leave this alone and I refresh, nothing gonna change. So which is great. Second thing I notice is that whenever you need to type in something, you may have a lot of errors going to happen because sometimes the format is wrong. Sometimes you enter a date which never exists in that month. So in that case, we need to control the data input. Easy way is just using add-ins. We hit this and going to get more add-ins. In here, we just type date and we can use the first one, which is a mini calendar and the date picker. We hit add. Continue. Example now, if I select this C2 cell, I change this to last year December. We hit overwrite. It's changed, right? Then we refresh. You can see it's getting the information from that. Let's check if it's correct. 6804, right? You can see 6804. Now we have successfully retrieved the information from the Exchange website using Excel Power Query. During the course of this practice, we also introduce add-ons, which can help you improve the data entry experience. And most importantly, by changing the date, I'm able to grab the currency rate on the fly. So that's today. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.